Maya Collins had been given one job: stop the water from reaching the downstairs hallway. That was it. Nobody had asked her to save the mansion. Nobody had asked her to fight a broken pipe with a mop. And nobody, absolutely nobody, had asked her to fall into the arms of Adrian Moretti in front of 8 armed men. Yet somehow, that was exactly where her evening was headed. It started upstairs, with a bathroom pipe, a very expensive bathroom pipe, a very angry bathroom pipe. One moment Maya was changing towels. The next, water shot out from beneath the sink, like the mansion had personally decided to attack her. She screamed. The pipe continued. Maya grabbed a towel. Useless. She grabbed another towel. Also useless. Then she grabbed the bucket. The bucket slipped, hit the bathtub, bounced off the wall, and somehow landed upside down over her own foot. Maya stared at it. Water continued spraying behind her. Fantastic. She kicked the bucket off. Then came the mop. Maya attacked the flood with the determination of a woman who had already been warned twice that the imported marble downstairs cost more than her entire childhood neighborhood. She pushed water toward the drain. More water came. She pushed harder. The mop folded sideways. Maya stared at it. You had one job. The mop offered no apology. By the time she finally shut off the emergency valve, she was soaked. Completely. Her curls were dripping. Her white housekeeping blouse clung damply to her shoulders. Her black skirt was wet. One shoe had somehow collected enough water to qualify as a small aquarium, and there was still a thin stream escaping into the hallway. Maya grabbed the bucket, grabbed the mop, threw 2 soaked towels over her shoulder, and hurried into the hallway. Water squished inside one shoe. She stopped, looked down, took 1 step. Squish. Maya closed her eyes. Of course. One shoe was now carrying approximately half the Atlantic Ocean. There was no time to fix it. Behind her, another thin stream of water escaped from beneath the bathroom door and began creeping toward the staircase. Maya's eyes widened. No, no, no. She rushed after it. Not running exactly. More like moving at the dangerous speed of a woman who knew she shouldn't run, but had also been informed during orientation that the pale marble downstairs had been imported from Italy. Apparently, Italy had sent Adrian Moretti flooring personally, and Maya was fairly certain her salary could not replace even 1 tile. She hurried down the corridor, mop beneath one arm, bucket in the other, wet towels sliding slowly from her shoulder. One fell. Maya stopped, picked it up. The mop slipped. She caught it against her hip. The bucket swung. Water splashed over the rim. Maya stared at it. Everybody behave. Nothing behaved, she continued. The mansion was unusually quiet that evening. Too quiet. Normally she heard footsteps, guards speaking into radios, kitchen staff arguing about dinner, someone opening and closing doors. Tonight, almost nothing. Maya should have wondered why. Instead, she was too busy attempting to walk without making her shoe announce every step. Squish. Maya grimaced. Squish. She whispered downward. You embarrass me one more time, and we're separating. The shoe remained unrepentant. She reached the bottom of the stairs. That was when she remembered there were extra absorbent cloths in a storage cupboard near the west corridor. At least, she thought it was the west corridor. The Moretti mansion had approximately 400 doors. Maya had worked there for 11 days, and she remained convinced half of those doors existed purely to humiliate new employees. She turned left, passed one hallway, then another, stopped, looked behind herself, frowned. This doesn't look right. She glanced toward a pair of enormous dark wooden doors. Maybe the cupboard was beyond them. Maybe. Maya shifted the bucket against her hip and used her shoulder to push one door open. It moved easily. Far too easily. She took 2 hurried steps inside, then stopped. Oh! Oh no! This was not a storage cupboard. This was not even storage cupboard adjacent. It was a conference room. A very large conference room. a very expensive conference room, and seated around the long black table were 8 men who looked as though they considered smiling a security vulnerability. Maya stood in the doorway, dripping, holding a mop, one wet towel hanging over her shoulder, her blue bucket swinging from one hand. 8 faces turned toward her. Slowly, Maya's gaze traveled around the table. Black suits, expensive watches, hard expressions, documents, photographs, phones placed face down, a large map spread across the center. Then her eyes reached the man sitting at the head and stopped. Adrian Moretti. Of course, because apparently humiliation was not satisfying enough unless management attended personally. Maya had seen him before, from a distance, across the foyer, stepping from one of those black cars that seemed to reproduce overnight, walking through the mansion with men following behind him. She had even cleaned his study twice, but they had never properly spoken. He was usually gone before she arrived, and when he was home, the entire staff seemed to develop excellent posture. Maya had once asked another housekeeper why everybody became so quiet around him. The woman had simply stared at her, then whispered, "Because we enjoy employment." That answer seemed considerably more useful now. Adrian sat perfectly still, dark suit, white shirt, one hand resting beside an open folder. His expression gave Maya absolutely nothing, which was somehow worse than anger. At least anger provided information. This man looked like he could decide your fate while wondering whether he wanted coffee. Maya's lips parted. Nothing came out. Amazing. Apparently there was a force powerful enough to stop her talking. Adrian Moretti, one of the men nearest him, looked from Maya to Adrian, then carefully back to Maya. Maya finally found her voice. It wasn't the voice she wanted. The voice she wanted was professional, composed, respectful. The voice she got said, "Please tell me one of you keeps towels in here." Silence. Maya's eyes closed. Why? Why had that been the sentence? She opened them again. Nobody answered. She cleared her throat. Right. Another beat. Judging by the atmosphere, probably not. The man sitting to Adrian's right lowered his gaze to the table. His mouth moved. Maya caught it. He was trying not to smile. Wonderful. At least someone was enjoying her funeral. Adrian finally spoke. What happened? His voice wasn't loud. It didn't need to be. Maya immediately straightened. The upstairs bathroom. Adrian waited. The pipe burst. Still waiting. Maya lifted the mop slightly. I objected. The man beside Adrian looked down again. Maya continued. The pipe did not respect my position. There. The man's shoulders moved. He was definitely laughing. Silently, but laughing. Adrian glanced toward him. The man's face instantly became serious. Maya watched the exchange. Interesting. She looked back at Adrian. I've shut the water off. You're soaked. Maya looked down at herself, as if this information had only just arrived. Yes. Adrian's gaze remained on her. Maya waited. He waited. She became uncomfortable, then more uncomfortable, then extremely aware that there were 8 men watching the 2 of them. She shifted the bucket. Squish. Her shoe betrayed her. Someone at the far end of the table coughed. Maya looked down. That's my shoe. Nobody had asked. Still, she felt clarification was important. Adrian's gaze dropped briefly toward her feet, then returned to her face. You're barefoot on one side. Maya looked down again. Her right shoe was there. Her left was not. She stared. When had that happened? She looked behind herself. A wet shoe sat approximately 6 feet back in the hallway, alone, abandoned. Maya stared at it, then at Adrian. I've had a difficult 5 minutes. This time, the man beside Adrian actually laughed. One short sound. Maya pointed at him immediately. Thank you. He blinked. For what? Confirmation that this situation is objectively ridiculous. The corner of his mouth lifted. Marco DeSantis. Maya nodded. Maya Collins. I know, she frowned. How? Marco glanced at Adrian. Adrian's eyes moved toward him. Marco suddenly found the table fascinating. Maya noticed. Her gaze moved between both men. Interesting again. Before she could ask, another thin stream of water trickled from her skirt and landed on the marble. Maya looked down, then quickly moved her bucket beneath it. Adrian watched her. Maya. She looked up. That was the first time he had said her name. It shouldn't have mattered. It did. A little too much. She hated that. Yes? Why are you standing there? Maya looked at the mop, the bucket, the missing shoe, then at the open doorway. Excellent question. Marco smiled. Maya nodded toward the corridor. I was looking for the supply cupboard. This is the conference room. I've gathered that. The supply cupboard is 2 doors down. Maya went still. 2 doors down. She slowly looked toward the ceiling. Naturally. Of course it was. She looked back at Adrian. I'm going to pretend you didn't tell me that. For the first time. Something moved in Adrian's expression. Tiny, almost invisible. But Maya caught it. His mouth wanted to smile. It didn't, but it wanted to. Maya's eyes narrowed. Were you about to laugh? No. Marco immediately looked at Adrian. Adrian ignored him. Maya tilted her head. You were. I wasn't. You definitely were. One of the other men suddenly became fascinated by his watch. Maya looked around. Then something occurred to her. Nobody in this room seemed accustomed to Adrian being teased. That should have been a warning. Instead, it made her curious. Very bad personality trait. She shifted the mop under her other arm. It's okay. Adrian's eyebrow lifted. What is? You can laugh. Marco's lips disappeared between his teeth. Adrian stared at her. Maya gestured vaguely toward herself. I entered your serious-looking meeting dripping water, missing 1 shoe, and carrying cleaning equipment. I'm not under the illusion that I've maintained mystery. Marco's head dropped. Adrian's gaze remained fixed on Maya. There was something strange about it now. Less irritation, more attention. Maya became aware of that attention slowly, painfully. His eyes weren't moving around the room anymore. They were on her, and somehow, the entire meeting had begun feeling like background scenery. That was when Maya decided she should leave, immediately, before her mouth caused an international incident. She stepped backward. Anyway, sorry for interrupting. Adrian said nothing. Please continue doing whatever terrifying business-related thing you were doing, Marco muttered. Business-related. Maya heard him. She pointed the mop toward him. You know what I mean. Marco nodded solemnly. Completely. Maya turned toward the door. Then the towel on her shoulder slipped. She caught it. The bucket bumped her knee. She corrected it. The mop slid downward. She grabbed it. Everything was fine. Everything was under control. For approximately half a second. Because Maya stepped directly onto the small trail of water she had dripped behind herself. Her bare foot slid. Her entire body jerked sideways. Her eyes widened. Oh, the bucket tipped. Marco stood halfway. One captain pulled documents away from the edge of the table. Maya threw out one hand, caught absolutely nothing. The mop shot across the floor. The bucket escaped her fingers. Water splashed in a wide, glittering arc. And Maya, with the horrifying clarity of someone who knows disaster has already won, realized she was going down. Then Adrian moved. Fast. Much faster than a man sitting behind a conference table had any right to move. His chair pushed backward. He rounded the corner of the table. Maya saw black suit. Broad shoulders. Then one strong arm wrapped around her waist. The fall stopped. Abruptly. Her body swung forward from the momentum, straight into him. Her palm landed against his chest. Her other hand caught the front of his jacket. Adrian's grip tightened around her waist. And suddenly, Maya wasn't falling anymore. She was being held. By Adrian Moretti. In front of everyone. The room went quiet. Not regular quiet. The kind of quiet that arrives when 8 people realize they are witnessing something they will be discussing privately for years. The overturned bucket continued rolling. Slowly. Very slowly. Until... clunk. It hit the leg of the conference table. Maya's eyes remained shut. She wasn't ready. Perhaps if she simply kept them closed, she could wake up somewhere else. Different mansion. Different job. Different continent. Adrian looked down at the woman in his arms. She wasn't moving. Maya! Nothing. His voice lowered. You can open your eyes. Her eyes stayed closed. I disagree. Marco turned away. Adrian's mouth twitched. Maya felt the movement of his chest beneath her palm. Her eyes opened immediately. Did you just laugh? No. You moved. I breathed. Suspiciously. Marco covered his mouth. Maya finally looked up. And that was a mistake of an entirely different kind. Adrian was close. Much closer than she had ever seen him. Close enough for her to see the faint shadow along his jaw. Close enough to notice the small line near one eyebrow. Close enough to discover that his eyes weren't actually as cold as she had assumed. They were dark. Yes, intense, definitely. But there was something under all of that control. Something warm. Something currently focused entirely on her. Maya forgot about the room, only for a moment. Adrian seemed to forget it too. His hand remained at her waist. Her fingers remained twisted into his jacket. Neither of them moved. Maya's breathing slowed, then became noticeably not slow when Adrian's gaze dropped briefly toward her mouth. Very briefly. Still, she saw it, and Adrian saw that she saw it. Something shifted between them. Not dramatic, not yet. Just enough to make Maya's stomach flutter, and enough to make Adrian Moretti wonder why he hadn't released her. Behind them, Marco cleared his throat. Maya practically jumped. Adrian tightened his arm automatically to stop her slipping again. She looked over at Marco. He looked innocent, suspiciously innocent. Maya looked back at Adrian. You can put me down. Adrian's eyebrow lifted. You're standing. Maya looked down. Oh, right. One foot was on the ground. Adrian was simply supporting most of her weight. That somehow feels worse. This time, Adrian did smile. Small, quick. But there, Maya stared. There, his smile disappeared. You smiled. No. Sir, I have eyes. Marco turned away, because he had lost all control of his face. Maya noticed Adrian was still holding her. She lowered her voice. Also, your employees are staring. Without looking away from her, Adrian said, They know better. 8 men immediately looked elsewhere. Maya's mouth fell open. She glanced around the room. Every single man was suddenly interested in something else. One was examining a pen. Another had become deeply invested in the ceiling. Marco was looking out the window. Maya slowly looked back at Adrian. That was terrifying. Adrian's expression remained calm. You'll get used to it. The words left his mouth before he seemed to consider them. Maya heard them. So did Marco. Her brows rose. I'll get used to it. Adrian went silent. Maya waited. Nothing. A slow smile appeared on her face. Interesting. Very, very interesting. Adrian finally released her. Slowly. His hand left her waist, and Maya immediately noticed the absence, which annoyed her. She adjusted her wet blouse and stepped carefully onto dry flooring, then looked at Adrian's jacket. A large wet mark now covered the front. Her face changed. Oh Lord. Adrian glanced down. I've soaked you. Marco coughed violently. Maya froze. Her eyes widened. No. Marco's shoulders shook. I meant your clothes. Adrian looked at her. Maya looked horrified. Please don't make that face. What face? The one where you're deciding whether to acknowledge what I just said. The corner of his mouth moved again. Maya groaned. This is getting worse. It is. She stared at him. You're enjoying this. Adrian said nothing. That was answer enough. Maya bent down for the towel. Adrian bent at the same moment. Their hands met. Both stopped. Her fingers rested against his. For just a second, Maya looked up. So did Adrian. And there it was again. That brief quietness between them. Strange. Unexpected. Too warm for a room filled with dangerous men. Maya slowly pulled her hand away. Adrian picked up the towel instead. Then, to the complete shock of everyone watching, he handed it to her. Maya took it. "Thank you." "You're welcome." Marco stared at Adrian. Maya caught him staring. "What?" Marco shook his head. "Nothing. You keep saying nothing, while visibly experiencing something." "I value my life." "Reasonable." Adrian looked toward Marco. "Maya." She turned back to him. Stop encouraging him. I've known him 4 minutes. That's apparently enough." Marco nodded. "She has excellent instincts." Maya smiled. Then, something on the conference table caught her eye. The smile slowly faded. A photograph, partly covered by another document. A man stepping through a doorway. Maya frowned. She knew that face. Not well. But she stepped closer to the table. Adrian noticed immediately. "What?" Maya pointed. "That man." Nobody laughed now. The change was instant. Adrian looked at the photograph. Then at her. "You know him?" "No." She frowned harder. "But I've seen him." Every man around the table became alert. Adrian's voice remained calm. "Where?" "Here." Silence. Maya looked around. Nobody moved. Her brows rose. "I'm guessing that wasn't the correct answer." "When?" "Yesterday afternoon." Adrian stepped closer. "Where in the house?" "Service corridor." Marco's expression changed. Adrian's did not. That was somehow more alarming. Maya continued. "He was wearing maintenance clothes." A man near the end of the table shifted slightly. Barely. Adrian saw it. "Maya didn't?" "Did he speak to you?" "Yes." "What did he want?" "Directions to the West offices." Now Adrian's attention sharpened completely. "What did you tell him?" Maya hesitated. Adrian noticed. "Maya," she sighed. "I sent him toward the kitchens." Marco blinked. Adrian stared at her. "Why?" "He was rude." Silence. Maya looked around. Nobody seemed satisfied. She elaborated. "He snapped his fingers at me." She demonstrated. Snap. Snap. Then said, "You. West offices." Maya folded her arms. So I smiled, pointed him toward the kitchens, and told him to turn left after the pantry. Marco stared at her. "What was left after the pantry?" Maya shrugged. "The laundry room." Marco's mouth twitched. Maya continued. "And after that, the staff bathroom." Adrian's face remained unreadable for precisely 2 seconds. Then, he laughed. Quietly. Maya looked at him triumphantly. "There, that one was definitely a laugh." Adrian didn't deny it this time, but the amusement faded quickly, because Maya had just given him something important. Very important. The man in that photograph had no legitimate reason to be inside Adrian's home. He had entered disguised as maintenance. He had deliberately asked for the West offices, and someone with access, had gotten him past security. Adrian looked around the table. His eyes settled briefly on one man. Just briefly. Then back to Maya. Maya caught the movement this time. Her humor softened. Something wasn't right here. Adrian closed the folder in front of him. "Everyone out." Maya blinked. No one moved at first. One of the captains frowned. "Adrian, out." No raised voice, no threat. He didn't need either. Chairs moved immediately. Men gathered documents. Phones disappeared into pockets. Marco stood. Maya automatically reached for her mop. Adrian looked at her. "Not you." She stopped. Slowly. Marco's eyes went from Adrian to Maya, then down to the water covering half the floor. His grin arrived. Maya saw it. "Don't." Marco lifted his brows. "I haven't said anything. Your face has." He walked past her. "I like you." Adrian's voice came from behind them. "Marco, I am leaving." He disappeared through the doors. The remaining men followed, one after another, until the doors closed, and Maya found herself alone with Adrian Moretti. Her confidence, which had been doing surprisingly well, immediately packed its bags. She looked toward the doors, then at him, then at the mop, then back at him. So, Adrian watched her. Maya swallowed. This feels significantly less funny now. Does it? Yes. Why? Because there are no witnesses. Adrian's mouth twitched. Maya pointed at him. Do not. I haven't done anything. Your face is preparing. Adrian stepped toward her. Maya stayed where she was, barefoot, soaked, still holding a towel, yet she didn't look frightened. Embarrassed, definitely. Curious, absolutely, but not frightened. Adrian found that far more interesting than he should have. Maya cleared her throat. I assume this is where you tell me I no longer work here. No, she blinked. No? No. That seems irresponsible. Adrian's eyebrow rose. Maya gestured around. The meeting. A point toward the puddle. The floor. A point toward his chest. Your suit. Then toward the mop. And whatever emotional damage I caused that painting. Adrian looked toward the crooked frame. It'll recover. Maya stared at him. You're being surprisingly reasonable about this. I can change that. No need. Adrian took another step closer. Maya's humor faltered slightly. Not from fear. From him. From how differently his attention felt without 8 other people around. Adrian noticed her shiver. His eyes narrowed. You're cold. I've been soaked for 15 minutes. He removed his jacket. Maya stared at him. Wait. He held it out. Adrian, that is already wet because of me. Take it. You have an unusual approach to consequences. Maya. Something about the way he said her name made arguing suddenly more difficult. She took the jacket, wrapped it around her shoulders. Warmth immediately surrounded her. It was far too large. The sleeves swallowed half her hands. Maya looked down. Then at him. Now I look like I've stolen from you. You have. Her eyes widened. What? My meeting. Maya stared. Then his mouth curved. She understood. You made another joke. I didn't. You absolutely did. I think the water affected your hearing. Your employees need to know about this. They won't. That sounded threatening. It was. Maya laughed. And Adrian, once again, forgot everything he had been thinking about before she entered the room. The traitor, the documents, the photograph. All of it moved somewhere behind the sound of Maya laughing inside his jacket. That annoyed him. It also made him want her to do it again. Maya pulled the lapels closer around herself. Thank you. This time there was no joke attached. Adrian's expression softened almost imperceptibly. You're welcome. A beat passed. Then another. Maya looked at him. Adrian looked at her. And for once, neither needed to fill the silence. Until Maya's abandoned shoe squeaked outside in the hallway as one of the departing men accidentally stepped on it. Maya closed her eyes. Adrian looked toward the door. From outside came Marco's voice. Found the other shoe. Maya covered her face. Adrian laughed. Louder this time. She looked at him through her fingers. This is the worst day of my career. Adrian's eyes stayed on her. No. Maya lowered her hands. No? He glanced around at the flooded conference room, at the overturned bucket, at the crooked painting, then back at the dripping woman standing in his jacket. For everyone else, perhaps. Maya stared at him. And somewhere outside those doors, Marco DeSantis heard enough to understand one very important thing. Adrian Moretti had dismissed an entire Mafia meeting. Not because Maya Collins had ruined it. Not because she had flooded the room. Not even because she had accidentally stumbled onto information about a security breach. He had dismissed them because for the first time all evening, Adrian wanted the room empty. He wanted the questions gone, the men gone, the business gone. Because the clumsy, dripping wet housekeeper who had just fallen into his arms had somehow become far more interesting than anything waiting inside those folders. Maya had no idea. She was still wondering whether the missing shoe could be salvaged. Adrian was wondering why he suddenly hoped she would get lost on the way to the supply cupboard again. And that was going to become a much bigger problem. By 8 the next morning, Maya Collins had reached one important conclusion. She had survived. Barely. But survival, she discovered, came with consequences. The first consequence was that every employee in the Moretti mansion knew. Not the important part. Not the strange man in the photograph. Not the security breach. No. Naturally, the only information that had traveled through the house overnight was that Maya had entered Adrian Moretti's private meeting soaking wet, fallen directly into his arms, flooded half the conference room, and somehow walked out wearing his jacket. Household staff were extremely efficient when the subject was gossip. Maya entered the kitchen that morning, and conversation stopped. Not gradually, instantly. 7 people suddenly became deeply interested in breakfast preparation. One maid polished the same spoon for nearly a minute. The chef stared at an onion like it had personally betrayed him. Maya stopped in the doorway. She looked around. Nobody looked back. "Good morning," 7 voices answered at different volumes. Far too innocent. Maya narrowed her eyes. "Interesting." She walked toward the coffee. 2 housekeepers subtly moved aside. Maya poured herself a cup. Still silence. She added sugar. Still silence. Then Rosa, the senior housekeeper who had worked for the Moretti family for nearly 15 years, finally cracked. She leaned across the counter. "So," Maya closed her eyes. There it was. Rosa's voice dropped. "He gave you his jacket." Maya opened one eye. Yes. 3 people stopped pretending not to listen. Rosa looked impressed. Not romantically impressed. Historically impressed. Like Maya had announced she had discovered electricity. "The black one." Maya stared. "He owns more than one black jacket." Rosa shook her head. "No. That one." Maya looked down at her coffee. Apparently, Adrian Moretti's wardrobe had a hierarchy. Wonderful. Another maid whispered that Mr. Moretti never lent anyone his clothes. The chef added that Adrian once made a cousin return a scarf after borrowing it without permission. Maya slowly lifted her head. Why does everyone know these things? Nobody answered. That was also suspicious. Maya drank her coffee. Then Rosa leaned closer. And Marco said the boss laughed. Maya nearly inhaled sugar. She coughed. Marco needs hobbies. He has hobbies. Better hobbies. That ended the discussion. Mostly. Except now Maya had another problem. She had to return the jacket. She had washed it. Well, technically the dry cleaner had handled that after Rosa nearly fainted when Maya suggested putting it in the laundry machine. Apparently expensive wool required diplomacy. So at exactly 8:42, Maya stood outside Adrian's study, holding the garment bag. She knocked. No answer. She knocked again. Still nothing. Maya considered leaving. Excellent option. Strong option. Safe option. Then the door opened. Not because Adrian had called her in. Because Marco was coming out. Maya jumped. Marco stopped. His eyes dropped to the garment bag, then returned to her face. A slow smile appeared. Maya immediately pointed at him. No. Marco raised both hands. I haven't said anything. You're about to. I was merely going to say good morning. That smile has never said good morning in its life. Marco laughed, then stepped aside. Inside the study, Adrian sat behind his desk. Dark shirt, sleeves rolled, no jacket. Of course, no jacket. Maya suddenly became painfully aware that she was holding the reason. Adrian looked up. His eyes went first to her, then the garment bag, then back to her. Marco noticed the entire sequence. Maya noticed Marco noticing. This man was going to become a problem, a very entertained problem. Marco left. Maya stepped inside. The door closed behind her. She held up the garment bag. Your property survived. Adrian leaned back slightly. You had it cleaned. I considered returning it smelling like bathroom water and panic, but Rosa threatened me. Something moved at the corner of his mouth. Maya saw it immediately. She pointed. There. Adrian's expression flattened. Good morning, Maya. Deflection. Maya. Fine. She approached the desk and placed the jacket carefully across a chair. Adrian looked at it, then at her. You could have kept it longer. Maya stared. Why? You were cold. That was yesterday. You could be cold again. Maya's brows rose. That sounds suspiciously like you're trying to create a long-term jacket arrangement. Adrian paused. Maya waited. He looked back at the papers in front of him. Conversation over, which meant Maya had won. Excellent. She turned toward the door, then stopped. Something on the desk caught her eye. A maintenance log. She recognized the format immediately, because housekeeping saw every maintenance request before repairs entered occupied rooms. Maya frowned. One date stood out. Yesterday. West corridor. Electrical inspection. She looked at Adrian. Is that from yesterday? Adrian's attention sharpened. Yes. Maya stepped closer. The humor faded. There wasn't an electrical inspection yesterday. Adrian said nothing. Maya continued. I checked the maintenance board before starting upstairs. The only scheduled work was the guest wing air conditioning. His expression changed, very slightly. But now she understood enough to know what that meant. Important. Adrian pulled the sheet toward himself. You're certain? Maya nodded. Victor updates the board every morning. West corridor wasn't listed. Victor Salerno, estate operations manager. A man everybody trusted. Adrian's eyes lowered to the page. A name had been signed at the bottom. The signature was blurred from photocopying, but the authorization initials were clear. V.S. Victor Salerno. Maya watched Adrian's face. Nothing. No shock. No anger. That somehow made the moment heavier. Then Adrian closed the folder. Just like that. Maya knew enough to stop asking questions. Mostly. She pointed toward the paper. Should I be worried? No. Too fast. Maya tilted her head. Adrian knew immediately he had made a mistake. You answered very quickly. I answer quickly, not when I ask if your curtains need dusting. That's different. Exactly. He stared at her. Maya folded her arms. You're hiding something. Adrian's gaze dropped briefly to the motion, then back to her face. I'm handling something, which is Mafia language for hiding something. Maya? She lifted one hand. Fine, and she meant it, mostly. She turned to leave. Adrian watched her reach the door. Then, Maya. She looked back. Don't use the west corridor today. Her smile disappeared. Why? Repairs. She stared at him. He stared back. Maya slowly nodded. Repairs. Yes, that was absolutely not repairs. But she left anyway, and Adrian remained behind the desk, looking at the maintenance log, because Maya had now done it twice. Twice, she had noticed something his own people missed. First, the stranger disguised as maintenance. Now, a false maintenance authorization, and both incidents led toward the same uncomfortable possibility. Someone inside his house was helping an outsider move through Moretti property. Someone trusted, someone close. And Adrian did not like how quickly Maya had become connected to it. Not because she was suspicious, because whoever was responsible might soon realize that she had become useful to him. And Adrian Moretti had learned many things in 37 years. One of them was simple. People became dangerous when they realized what mattered to you. And Maya Collins, with her wet shoes, her impossible mouth, and her ridiculous arguments with furniture, was beginning to matter far more than she should. The rest of the morning became significantly less serious, mostly because Maya declared war on a vacuum cleaner. The vacuum had already earned the name Lucifer 3 days earlier. Not because it was powerful, because it was evil. It worked perfectly for everyone else, for Maya. It made noises, stopped unexpectedly, ate the edge of carpets, and once attempted to consume the hem of her skirt. By noon, Maya had dragged Lucifer into the east hallway and was glaring at it. "You have one opportunity." The vacuum remained silent. "Do not embarrass me today." Still silent. Maya plugged it in, pressed the switch. Nothing. She pressed again. Nothing. Maya inhaled. Behind her, Adrian entered the hallway. She didn't hear him. Marco did. Marco had been walking beside Adrian discussing security rotations when both men stopped. Maya kicked the vacuum lightly. "Work!" Nothing. She pressed the switch. Lucifer finally roared to life. Maya smiled triumphantly. Then the vacuum immediately sucked up the end of a curtain. Maya gasped. "No!" She lunged. The machine pulled harder. The curtain descended several inches. Maya grabbed the fabric. Lucifer continued consuming it. "Release her." Adrian stopped. Marco looked at him, then at Maya. Maya pulled one direction. The vacuum pulled the other. The curtain rod shook. Adrian crossed his arms. Marco whispered that they should probably intervene. Adrian said nothing. Maya finally ripped the curtain free. She stumbled backward, hugging the rescued fabric to her chest. Lucifer shut off. Silence. Maya pointed at it. "You are a criminal." Adrian's voice came from behind her. "That seems harsh." Maya froze. Slowly, very slowly, she turned. Adrian stood several feet away. Marco beside him. Maya looked at the vacuum, then at Adrian. Then back at the vacuum. He started it. Marco looked away. Adrian's mouth twitched. Maya pointed immediately. "There. You're imagining things." "I am not." Marco quietly excused himself. Adrian looked at him. Marco kept walking. Coward. Maya crouched beside Lucifer. "This machine hates me." Adrian approached. "It's a vacuum. Exactly what he wants you to think." Adrian stared at her. Maya stared back. Then he crouched, pressed one button. The machine started immediately. Maya's mouth fell open. Adrian turned it off. Silence. Maya looked at him. Then Lucifer. Then Adrian again. "You've betrayed me." Adrian stood. "You may need training." Maya narrowed her eyes. "You're becoming arrogant because machinery respects you. It's a useful quality. Your people respect you too, usually." Maya nodded toward Lucifer. "So basically same management strategy." Adrian laughed. Actually laughed. And this time Maya smiled because she had caused it. No embarrassment. No accident. Just her. That realization felt unexpectedly good. Adrian noticed her expression change. For half a second, the hallway became quiet. Not uncomfortable, just softer. Then Maya looked down at the vacuum. "I still don't trust him." Adrian's eyes stayed on her. "Neither do I." And that was how Lucifer became the first household appliance to receive personal suspicion from the head of the Moretti organization. Adrian Moretti had lived by routine for years. Wake at 6, exercise, coffee. Leave the mansion before 8. Return late. Work until midnight. Repeat. That schedule had survived business wars, police investigations, family funerals, political scandals, and one extremely inconvenient period when Marco attempted intermittent fasting and became unbearable before lunch. Then Maya Collins appeared, and suddenly, Adrian started coming home early. The first time, nobody noticed. The second time, Rosa noticed. The third time, Marco noticed. By the fifth time, everyone noticed. Adrian returned at 5:40 on Monday. Maya happened to be cleaning the library. Tuesday. 5:15. Maya was reorganizing linen deliveries. Wednesday, 4:52. Maya was polishing the staircase banister. Thursday. Adrian arrived at 4. Marco looked at his watch, then at Adrian, then at his watch again. Adrian kept walking. Marco followed. "You're early." "No. It is 4 o'clock." "I know how clocks work." "I'm beginning to question that." Adrian stopped. Marco almost walked into him. Adrian turned. "Do you need something?" Marco smiled. "Yes." "What?" "To understand why organized crime now has office hours." Adrian stared. Marco continued. "You used to come home at midnight." "I live here. Apparently, you've just discovered that." Adrian turned away. Marco followed. They entered the foyer. Maya stood on a ladder. That explained everything. She was attempting to clean the top of a tall mirror. Attempting, because the cloth had fallen behind the furniture. Maya leaned sideways. The ladder shifted. Adrian stopped. Marco smiled. Maya stretched farther. Adrian's jaw tightened. She almost had the cloth. Almost. Then the ladder wobbled again. Adrian crossed the foyer in seconds. His hand closed around the ladder. Maya looked down. "Oh!" Adrian looked up. "What are you doing?" "Cleaning." "That's obvious. I'm glad we agree." "Get down." Maya frowned. "I'm almost finished." "Maya." She stared. He stared. Maya sighed. "I hate when you use that voice." "What voice?" "The one that sounds like the room has already agreed with you." Marco covered his mouth. Maya climbed down. Adrian steadied the ladder until both feet touched the floor. Then Maya looked toward the mirror. A streak remained at the top. Her eyes narrowed. Adrian saw it. "No." Maya looked at him. "I didn't say anything."
"You were thinking."
"That feels invasive." Marco muttered that he had been saying that for years. Adrian ignored him. Maya retrieved the cloth from behind the furniture, then noticed Adrian's hand still resting on the ladder. She smiled. "You came home early." Adrian's expression remained neutral. "So? You were early yesterday too." Marco's eyebrows rose. Adrian looked toward him. Marco became extremely interested in the chandelier. Maya tilted her head. "And Tuesday?" Adrian said nothing. "And Monday?" Still nothing. Maya's smile grew. "Interesting." Adrian narrowed his eyes. "What?" "Nothing." That was not nothing. Maya picked up her cleaning basket. "I'm just glad you enjoy your house." Then she walked away. Marco waited until she disappeared. 3 seconds. 2. 1. He turned. Adrian was already glaring. Marco smiled. "She knows. There is nothing to know." "Of course." Marco. "Yes?" "Go away." Marco nodded. "Early diplomacy?" Adrian stared. Marco walked off laughing. Maya, however, did not actually know. She suspected. That was worse. Because suspicion gave her imagination room to misbehave. She began noticing Adrian everywhere. Library, kitchen, terrace, foyer, even the staff corridor once, where he claimed he had been looking for Marco. Maya had stared at him. Marco's office was on the opposite side of the mansion. Adrian had looked at the hallway, then at her, then changed the subject. Interesting. Very, very interesting. But Maya refused to romanticize it. She had rules. Well, one rule: never assume a powerful, handsome man was interested simply because he looked at you. That road had disappointed women for centuries. So she worked. She cleaned. She argued with Lucifer. She delivered linens. And gradually, without planning it, she began leaving Adrian coffee. The first time was accidental. She noticed a tray outside his study after lunch. Food untouched. Coffee cold. Maya frowned. The man had been inside for hours. She replaced the coffee. Nothing dramatic. Nothing romantic. Just coffee. The next afternoon, the same thing. So she replaced it again. By Friday. It had become a habit. 1 cup. 2 sugars. No milk. She had noticed. Of course she had. Maya noticed everything. What she didn't realize was that Adrian had started waiting for it. At 2:10, his concentration shifted. At 2:15, his ears caught movement outside the study. At 2:17, a quiet knock. Then Maya's hand appeared through the partially opened door carrying coffee. She never entered unless invited. She simply left it. One afternoon, the coffee didn't come. Adrian waited. 2:20, nothing. 2:25, nothing. 2:31, Marco entered. Adrian looked behind him. Marco stopped. What? Nothing? Marco's eyes moved to the empty corner of the desk, then toward the door. Slow smile. No coffee? Adrian's gaze sharpened. Marco sat. This is serious. Stop. I'll call security. Marco, perhaps she's been kidnapped. Adrian's chair moved slightly. Marco froze. That reaction had been too fast. Adrian realized it. Marco definitely realized it. Then, the door opened. Maya appeared. Coffee in one hand, a small plate in the other. Sorry, Chef made lemon cake, and Rosa threatened me if I didn't bring you some. Adrian looked at her, then at Marco. Marco smiled. Crisis resolved. Maya frowned. What crisis? Nothing. Adrian pointed toward the door. Marco. Marco stood. Maya stepped aside. As Marco passed her, he whispered, he was waiting. Adrian's voice sharpened behind them. Marco. Marco disappeared. Maya looked toward Adrian. He looked down at the file in front of him. Maya slowly approached. You were waiting? No. She set the coffee down. The cup seems to disagree. Adrian looked at it. Maya placed the cake beside it. His attention shifted. You brought food. You keep forgetting to eat. I eat. Coffee is not lunch. I know. You behave like you don't. Adrian stared. Maya folded her arms. I clean your office. I see the trays. You monitor my meals. Someone should. That sentence settled between them differently. Neither smiled. Adrian looked at her. Not the housekeeper. Not the woman who fell into him. Just Maya. Someone had noticed. Not his money. Not his schedule. Not his power. Whether he ate lunch. It was such a small thing, and somehow it reached somewhere large. Maya realized he had gone quiet. She became nervous. Nervous, Maya talked. Well, eat the cake before Marco comes back. He looks like someone who steals desserts. Adrian's mouth curved. He does. See? She turned. Adrian stopped her. Maya. She looked back. Thank you. Her expression softened. You're welcome. And there it was again. That quiet little moment. Too warm. Too easy. Maya left before she could examine it. Adrian watched the door close. Then looked at the lemon cake. He ate the entire piece. Marco returned 20 minutes later. He saw the empty plate, said nothing. Adrian looked up. Marco smiled. Still said nothing. It was somehow much worse. Luca Romano arrived on Friday, and immediately became Adrian's least favorite person in the mansion. This was impressive, because Luca had been inside for approximately 6 minutes. He wasn't an enemy. That would have been easier. Luca was a business associate, 34, tall, expensively dressed, charismatic, the type of man who shook hands while looking like he knew exactly what women thought of him. Marco liked him. Adrian tolerated him. Until Luca saw Maya. She crossed the foyer carrying folded tablecloths. Luca stopped speaking mid-sentence. Adrian noticed. Maya did not. She was looking down, because walking while carrying linen had already taught her several painful lessons. Luca smiled. Who's that? Adrian's jaw tightened. Marco looked at him. Then at Luca. Then back to Adrian. This was going to be excellent. Maya, Adrian said. Luca's eyebrows rose. You know the housekeepers by name. Adrian looked at him. Marco looked away. Luca smiled wider. Maya approached. One napkin slipped. Luca caught it before it hit the floor. Maya stopped. Oh, thank you. My pleasure. Adrian's expression cooled by approximately 10 degrees. Luca handed it back. Luca Romano. Maya Collins. I know. Maya frowned. How? Luca glanced toward Adrian. Maya slowly turned. Adrian stared at Luca. Marco silently stepped backward. He wanted the full view. Maya looked between the men. Why does everyone know my name? No answer. Luca smiled. Your reputation travels. Maya's eyes narrowed. That feels threatening. Only if you plan to bring another bucket. She closed her eyes. Marco laughed. Adrian did not. Maya looked at Luca. Marco told you. Immediately. Maya turned to Marco. You really do need hobbies. Marco nodded. I've been told. Luca offered to carry the linens. Maya blinked. That's okay. I insist. Before she could respond, Adrian reached for the stack. Everyone stopped. Maya stared. Adrian took half the linens. Just took them. Luca's eyebrows rose. Marco's mouth opened slightly. Maya looked at the towels in Adrian's arms. Then at Adrian. I can carry those. I know. You have a meeting. I'm aware. Luca looked at Marco. Marco looked upward, as if thanking every available deity. Maya slowly smiled. Okay. That smile did something unfortunate to Adrian. He walked beside her toward the dining room. Luca followed. Marco followed, because he was not missing this for anything. And thus began Adrian Moretti's descent into jealousy. Not violent jealousy. Not threatening jealousy. Worse. Embarrassing jealousy. Luca complimented Maya's hair. Adrian interrupted to ask whether the dining room had been inspected. Maya said yes. Luca asked if Maya was from the city. Adrian asked why the flower arrangements had changed. Maya said Rosa changed them. Luca offered Maya a seat after she finished work. Adrian announced there was another meeting. Marco checked his watch. There was no other meeting. Maya noticed. Of course she did. At dinner, it became ridiculous. Maya normally ate in the staff kitchen, but Rosa asked her to help serve because 2 workers had called in sick. Luca was charming. Too charming. He thanked Maya every time she approached. He asked about her day. He even complimented the lemon cake. Adrian watched everything. Marco watched Adrian watching everything. Then came the breadstick. A harmless breadstick. Possibly the most innocent object in the mansion. Luca picked one up. Maya passed beside him. He held it out jokingly. Maya laughed and took it. Adrian's wine glass stopped halfway to his mouth. Marco saw. Slowly, Marco put down his fork. This required concentration. Maya bit the breadstick. Luca said something that made her laugh. Adrian set the glass down. Carefully. Too carefully. Marco looked at the bread. Then Adrian. Then Maya. He nearly smiled. 10 minutes later, Luca asked Maya whether she ever took evenings off. Maya answered casually. Sometimes. Luca suggested dinner. Adrian's fork stopped. There it was. Maya looked at Luca. Nice man. Handsome. Charming. But something about him felt too polished. Too deliberate. And frankly, she had no interest in becoming part of whatever weird competition was currently happening at the table. So she smiled and declined. Simple, polite, final. Luca accepted it well. Adrian became visibly more pleasant. Not smiling. That would have been suspicious. But his shoulders relaxed. His voice softened. He even complimented dinner. Marco almost applauded. Afterward, Maya found Adrian in the corridor. Alone. She had been waiting. He knew immediately. You need something? Yes. What? She folded her arms. You were jealous. Adrian continued walking. No. Maya followed. Yes. No. You nearly broke a fork. It was poorly made. Italian silver? Poorly made. Maya smiled. Interesting. He stopped. She nearly walked into him. Adrian turned. Maya. She looked up. Adrian. He hated when she said his name with that tiny teasing smile. Mostly because he liked it too much. She leaned closer. You know what gave you away? Nothing gave me away, because there is nothing to give away. The breadstick. Adrian stared. Maya nodded solemnly. You hated that breadstick. I did not hate bread. Not bread. That breadstick. Adrian said nothing. Maya's smile widened. You looked at it, like it had insulted your family. His eyes narrowed. Maya started laughing. Then Adrian did something she did not expect. He stepped closer. Very close. The laughter slowly faded from Maya's face. Adrian's voice dropped. And if I was jealous, Her heart skipped. There. Finally. No joke. No Marco. No audience. Just the question. Maya looked at him. Then I'd ask why. Adrian's eyes moved over her face. Because you laugh with him. Because he looks at you too easily. Because I hate how much I notice when someone else gets your attention. None of those words left his mouth. Instead, I don't like him. Maya fought a smile. Very convincing. Adrian's gaze dropped to her lips. Again. This time longer. Maya noticed. Her teasing disappeared. Adrian's hand shifted at his side. He almost reached for her. Almost. Then footsteps approached. Marco. Of course. He appeared around the corner. Saw them. Stopped. Maya immediately stepped back. Adrian closed his eyes. Marco looked between them. I can return later. Adrian's stare could have frozen water. Marco smiled. Much later. Maya fled. Marco waited until she disappeared. Then, the breadstick? Adrian walked away. Marco followed. What happened with the breadstick? Marco, I need context. You need silence. I have never needed silence. Adrian knew. Everyone knew, and somewhere down the hallway, Maya leaned against a wall, hand over her heart, wondering why being almost kissed by Adrian Moretti felt significantly more dangerous than falling into his arms. The kiss happened 4 days later, not in a luxury restaurant, not beneath chandeliers, not during a dramatic rainstorm. It happened beside Lucifer, which Maya would later consider deeply disrespectful. The week had been strange. Adrian's investigation continued quietly. Maya didn't know details, but she noticed extra guards, different access rules, and Victor Salerno spending more time near the West offices. Victor had always been pleasant to her, too pleasant perhaps, the kind of pleasant that never reached his eyes. Still, she had no proof of anything, so she worked. Then on Tuesday afternoon, Lucifer died. At least Maya hoped he had. She stood in the utility room, staring down at the silent vacuum. Finally, nothing. You had a long criminal career. Silence. You will not be missed. Adrian entered behind her. Maya turned. How long were you standing there? Long enough. You heard nothing. I heard a eulogy. He deserved worse. Adrian stepped closer. Maya crouched and opened the back panel. Wires. Dust. A suspiciously large button. Adrian watched. You know what you're doing? No. Good. Maya looked over her shoulder. That sounded judgmental. It was. She returned to the vacuum. Adrian leaned against the doorway. He had started doing this lately. Appearing. Watching. Not saying much. Maya pretended she didn't like it. She was becoming a poor liar. She pressed something. Lucifer exploded to life. Maya screamed. The vacuum rolled forward, straight toward Adrian. He stepped aside. Maya lunged after it. Stop, Lucifer continued. Adrian reached down, unplugged it. Silence. Maya stared. Adrian held up the cord. She narrowed her eyes. I knew that. Clearly. You could have died. From a vacuum? He has ambition. Adrian laughed. Maya smiled. Then, the moment changed. Not suddenly. Slowly. Slowly. Adrian was still close. Maya was still kneeling. He offered his hand. She looked at it, then took it. Adrian pulled her to her feet. A little too easily. Maya ended up closer than expected. Her hand remained in his. Neither released. The utility room became quiet. No Marco. No staff. No teasing audience. Just the hum of distant air conditioning. Maya's smile faded. Adrian's gaze moved from her eyes to her mouth, then back. You do stare, Maya whispered. So do you. That's different. How? I'm evaluating. What? She looked at him. The situation. Adrian stepped closer. And Maya's pulse increased. Unclear. His hand slid from hers to her waist, slowly, giving her time to move. She didn't. Maya swallowed. Adrian. He waited. That mattered. He did not pull. Did not assume. Just waited. Maya looked at his face, then at his mouth. That was enough. Adrian kissed her, soft at first, careful. Almost surprisingly careful for a man who handled everything else with absolute certainty. Maya's hand moved to his chest, then his shoulder. Adrian's arm tightened around her waist. The kiss deepened, warm, unhurried, and for several beautiful seconds, Maya forgot everything. The mansion, the gossip, the ridiculous vacuum. Even the fact that she had promised herself she would not romanticize this man. Then Lucifer turned on, by itself. Both of them jumped apart. The vacuum lurched forward. Maya screamed. Adrian stared. Lucifer bumped into the wall, stopped. Silence. Maya looked at the vacuum, then Adrian. Then the vacuum. I told you. Adrian covered his mouth. Maya's eyes widened. Do not laugh. Too late. He laughed. Actually laughed. Head lowering slightly. Shoulders moving. Maya stared, then started laughing too. Soon they were both standing in a utility room, laughing beside a malfunctioning vacuum cleaner. After their first kiss, romantic dignity completely destroyed, and somehow Maya loved it. Adrian looked at her, hair slightly messy, cheeks warm, smile wide. He had seen glamorous women in ballrooms, women trained to charm, women who spoke in carefully selected sentences. None of them had ever made him feel start. This, light, that was the word. Dangerously light. Maya stepped toward him. Was that kiss a mistake? Adrian's expression changed immediately. No. The answer came so quickly she stopped. He stepped closer again. No. This time softer. Maya looked at him, then smiled. Good. He kissed her again. Lucifer remained silent. Apparently even evil knew when to respect timing. Later that evening, the intrigue returned. Maya entered the service pantry, looking for replacement cloths. A stack of invoices had been pushed behind cleaning supplies. She frowned. Housekeeping had rules. Not many, but one of them was simple. Do not use cleaning storage for paperwork. Maya pulled them out. Delivery slips, fuel invoices, maintenance receipts. At first, nothing unusual. Then she noticed the same vendor name appearing repeatedly, Westbridge Logistics. Odd. More importantly, the dates were wrong. 3 deliveries listed as occurring at the mansion on days Maya knew no delivery had happened. She remembered, because one had been the day Rosa forced everyone to help with a charity dinner. The service entrance had been closed. Maya frowned. Then she noticed handwriting at the bottom. Victor. She stared. Something cold moved beneath the humor. Maya gathered the papers, went straight to Adrian's study. He was with Marco. She entered without knocking. Both men looked up. Maya held the invoices. I think Lucifer has been framed. Silence. Marco looked at Adrian. Maya walked forward. I found these behind cleaning supplies. Adrian took them. His face changed. Immediately. Marco moved beside him. They reviewed the dates. Maya watched. No jokes now. Adrian asked where exactly she found them. She explained. Then Marco said a name. Victor. Maya's stomach tightened. Adrian looked at her. Did anyone see you take these? I don't think so. His jaw hardened. Maya caught it. What? Nothing. Ah, that's becoming your favorite lie. Adrian stood. Maya, go back to your room. Her eyes narrowed. Why? I'll explain later. No. Adrian stopped. Marco looked between them. Maya folded her arms. No. Maya, you don't get to kiss me in a utility room and then immediately become mysterious criminal management. Marco slowly turned his face away. Adrian closed his eyes. Maya continued. If I'm involved, tell me. Adrian looked at her. And this was where he made the mistake. Not because he didn't care, because he cared too much. You're not involved. Maya's face changed. That's obviously untrue. Go upstairs. She stared. Then something shut down behind her eyes. Not anger yet. Disappointment. Adrian saw it. too late. Maya nodded once. Fine. Then she left. Marco waited until the door closed. He looked at Adrian. That went well. Adrian's stare sharpened. Marco continued. You know, for a man who negotiates multi-million-dollar agreements, your interpersonal instincts are fascinating. Not now. You kissed her. Adrian looked at him. Marco raised both hands. The staff corridor has acoustics. Adrian's expression darkened. Marco corrected himself. Allegedly. Then he pointed at the invoices. Victor? Adrian looked down. Yes, Victor. And if Victor had hidden evidence in a housekeeping pantry, there was now one question Adrian hated. Did Victor know Maya had found it? Because if he did, the situation had changed. Completely. Maya discovered the guards 2 days later, not because they were bad at following her, because one of them bought the same newspaper 3 times. Maya had gone into town on her afternoon off. Bakery, pharmacy, small market, bookshop. Everywhere she went, the same tall man in a grey coat appeared nearby. At first, coincidence. Then another man switched places with him outside the market. Maya stopped walking. Interesting. She entered a cafe, sat near the window, waited. Grey coat stood outside, pretending to inspect his phone. Maya stared. He was terrible at pretending. She finished her coffee, returned to the mansion, and walked directly into Adrian's study. No knock. Again. Adrian looked up. Maya. She closed the door. Who is following me? Silence. That answered enough. Her face changed. Adrian stood. Maya? No. He stopped. How long? He said nothing. Her eyes narrowed. How long? 2 days. Maya laughed once. No humor. 2 days. Their protection. Protection from what? Adrian walked around the desk. She stepped back. Not afraid. Angry. I was going to tell you. When? Adrian didn't answer. Maya folded her arms tightly. When somebody tried something. When I found a man sitting in my car. When your guard accidentally introduced himself. Maya. No. Her voice remained controlled. That was worse than yelling. You told me I wasn't involved. I was trying to keep you out of it. You assigned men to follow me. To keep you safe. Without telling me. Adrian's jaw tightened. Yes. Maya looked at him for several seconds. Then away. The hurt underneath her anger finally showed. Not dramatic, not tearful, just real. I thought you trusted me. Adrian's expression shifted. I do. No. She looked back. You trust yourself to decide what I need. That landed. Hard. Maya continued. You keep calling it protection, because that sounds better than control. It is protection. Then why couldn't you tell me? Adrian had no good answer, because he knew she might refuse. Because he couldn't tolerate the idea of something happening to her. Because somewhere between coffee, Lucifer, breadsticks, and that ridiculous first fall, Maya had become important enough to frighten him. But fear, from a man like Adrian, came out looking like orders. Maya saw that, and she hated it. I'm going to stay with my cousin for a few days. Adrian's entire body went still. No. Maya looked at him. There it was. Exactly the problem. Adrian realized immediately. His jaw flexed. Maya waited. Seconds passed. Then he forced himself to say it correctly. If that's what you want. Her anger softened only slightly. It is. Adrian looked away. Fine. Maya reached the door, then stopped. She did not turn. The kiss wasn't the mistake. Adrian looked at her. Maya swallowed. The way you handled this was... Then she left. The mansion became intolerable. Adrian had never realized how much noise one woman produced. Not loud noise. Life. Maya's footsteps. Her conversations with staff. Her laughter from the kitchen. Her arguments with Lucifer. Her coffee appearing outside his study. Gone. The mansion returned to perfect order. Adrian hated it. Day 1, he worked until midnight. Day 2, he snapped at Marco twice. Day 3, He found himself standing in the east hallway staring at Lucifer. The vacuum sat silently. Adrian looked at it. Lucifer looked like a vacuum. Adrian walked away. Marco watched from the doorway. "Are you missing her through the appliance?" Adrian stopped. "Say that again." Marco smiled. "No." Adrian continued walking. Marco followed. "You know what your problem is? Currently? You. You know how to command." Adrian said nothing. "You don't know how to ask." Adrian stopped. Marco did too. "That woman doesn't need your permission. She needs your honesty." Adrian's expression hardened. Not at Marco, at himself, because Marco was right. That evening, Adrian did something unfamiliar. He sent Maya everything, not physically, a secure folder, names, dates, Victor's involvement, the outside contact, the possibility that Victor had noticed Maya finding the invoices, the reason for the guards, every detail Adrian had refused to share, and at the end, one message. No order, no instruction, no attempt to bring her back, just the truth. Maya read it from her cousin's sofa. Twice. Then a third time. Her anger remained. But underneath it, something changed. He had listened. Not perfectly, not quickly, but he had listened. Then she noticed something else in the records. Westbridge Logistics. Same company from the invoices. A name appeared on 3 separate documents. Different handwriting, same misspelling. Maya stared. She had seen that exact misspelling before, not in Adrian's files, at the mansion, on discarded envelopes, Victor's envelopes, always thrown away separately. Maya sat upright. Her cousin looked over. "What?" Maya didn't answer, because suddenly, the housekeeper who noticed everything had noticed one more thing, and this one might finish what she accidentally started. 4 days after Maya left, Adrian Moretti held another meeting. Same conference room, same long table, different mood. Victor had disappeared, not vanished, fled. Which meant guilt. But Adrian still needed one piece. Who had Victor been working with? Marco sat beside him. 6 men surrounded the table. Nobody mentioned Maya. Nobody was suicidal. Adrian looked colder than usual. Marco knew why. Everyone knew why. Then, the doors opened. Every head turned. Adrian stopped breathing. Maya stood there, dry, fully dressed, hair arranged neatly, black skirt, soft patterned blouse, no mop, no bucket, no flooded shoe. She looked around, then lifted both hands. Nothing dangerous. Marco smiled immediately. Adrian did not. He stood. Maya. She looked at him. Something passed between them. Warm, careful, unfinished. Maya walked toward the table. Nobody spoke. She placed one envelope down. I remembered something. Adrian looked at it. Westbridge Logistics. Maya pointed at the company name. Every letter Victor received from them had this spelling mistake. Marco leaned closer. The word freight had been written fright. Simple. Consistent. Maya continued. Victor always threw those envelopes away separately. I noticed because he kept putting them in the paper recycling and then taking them out when he thought no one was looking. Adrian's eyes sharpened. Marco looked at the records. 3 communications. Same misspelling. Same style. Different supposed sender. A code. Not random. Marco exhaled. That gives us the contact. One of the men reached for his phone. Adrian never looked away from Maya. Again. She had seen what everyone else dismissed. Again. Something ordinary had become important because Maya Collins paid attention. The men began discussing next steps. Maya waited, then looked at Adrian. He looked back. Silence. Marco saw it. He knew. This meeting was over. Adrian slowly closed the folder. Everyone out, Marco smiled. One man actually sighed. The tradition had returned. Chairs moved. Papers closed. Maya stepped aside. Marco passed her, then stopped. Next time, bring the bucket. We work faster. Maya laughed. Adrian looked at him. Marco raised both hands. Leaving. The doors closed. Again. Same room. Same two people. But everything had changed. Maya stood on one side of the table. Adrian on the other. No one moved first. Finally, Adrian walked around it. He stopped in front of her. Not too close. He had learned something. Maya noticed. That mattered. I'm sorry. No excuse. No explanation. Just that. Maya looked at him. Adrian continued. I should have told you. Yes. I should have trusted you to decide. Yes. I didn't. No. He almost smiled. Maya's mouth twitched. You're doing well. Am I? Moderately. Adrian exhaled. Maya looked down briefly. Then back up. I was angry. I know. I'm still a little angry. I know. But. There. Adrian's attention sharpened. Maya folded her arms. I missed this house. He waited. And Rosa. He nodded. And the kitchen. Another nod. And Lucifer. Adrian's expression changed. Maya smiled. Unfortunately, Adrian said nothing. Maya looked at him. And you. That was the sentence. The one Adrian had been waiting 4 days to hear. His face softened. Barely. But Maya saw it. She always did. I missed you too. She smiled. Then pointed. You could have led with that. I was apologizing. Multitasking exists. Adrian laughed quietly. There they were again. Them. The tension easing. Not disappearing, just transforming. Adrian stepped closer. Slowly. Maya didn't move away. No more guards without telling me. Agreed. No more deciding I'm not involved while assigning security to follow me. Agreed. No mysterious half-answers. Adrian hesitated. Maya narrowed her eyes. Adrian. Within reason. She stared. He corrected himself. Agreed. Good. A pause. One more condition. Adrian's eyes narrowed. What? Maya smiled. You admit you were jealous of Luca. His expression flattened. No. Maya nodded. Okay. She turned. Adrian caught her hand. She stopped. Looked down. Then at him. He sighed. I disliked him. That is not the condition. Maya. She waited. Adrian stared at the ceiling. Apparently humiliation required preparation. Maya's smile widened. Finally. I was jealous. Her face lit up. Of the breadstick? Adrian's eyes closed. Maya started laughing. You were! Adrian pulled her gently toward him. She stumbled one step, then ended up against his chest. Again. Just like the first night. Except this time, there was no water, no bucket, no 8 shocked men. Maya looked up. Adrian's hand settled at her waist.
You enjoy this too much.
Very much.
You're impossible.
You came home at 4 o'clock to watch me polish a mirror. Adrian stared. Maya smiled. Marco told me. Marco is unemployed. No, he isn't. He could be. Maya laughed again, then softened. So, what happens now? Adrian looked at her. Not like a boss. Not like someone issuing terms. Like a man asking. That depends. On? What you want. Maya held his gaze. There. Growth. Simple. But real. She lifted one hand to his chest. I want honesty. You have it. Respect. You have it. Coffee. He raised an eyebrow. You make the coffee. Details. Adrian smiled. Maya's eyes dropped to his mouth. And maybe, she paused deliberately. Adrian waited. One more attempt at that utility room kiss. His arm tightened around her waist. That can be arranged. This time, when Adrian kissed her, nothing interrupted. No malfunctioning vacuum. No suspicious breadstick. No Marco. No flood. Just a slow, warm, well-earned kiss in the exact room where Maya had once crashed into his life, soaking wet and terrified. When they finally separated, Maya looked around the conference room, then at Adrian. You know, he waited. The first time I came in here, I thought you were going to fire me. I remember. I also lost a shoe. I remember. And nearly killed one of your men with a mop. He remembers. Maya smiled. And somehow, that became this. Adrian looked at her. Yes, that seems irresponsible. Probably. She laughed. Then Adrian kissed her again. 3 months later, the Moretti mansion had changed. Not dramatically. The guards still stood at the gates. Meetings still happened. Men still became nervous when Adrian went quiet. But the house itself felt different. Warmer. Louder. Mostly because Maya had been promoted. Official title, Head of Household Operations. Unofficial title, the only woman in the mansion who could enter Adrian's study without knocking and survive. She no longer cleaned every room herself, but she still insisted on checking everything, including Lucifer. The vacuum had somehow survived. Maya considered that evidence of corruption. One evening, Adrian entered the kitchen. Maya stood beside Lucifer, arms folded. The vacuum sat silent. Adrian stopped. What happened? He knows. Adrian looked at the machine. Maya. He ate another curtain. Adrian glanced toward the hall. Half the curtain hem was missing. He looked back. Maya pointed at Lucifer. I want consequences. Adrian crossed his arms. What do you suggest? Exile. Where? Marco's office. Adrian's mouth twitched. Maya smiled. There. What? The face. He stepped closer. You're still doing that. Always. Adrian wrapped an arm around her waist. Maya leaned into him easily now. No surprise. No awkwardness. Just familiarity. Across the doorway, Marco appeared. Saw them. Stopped. Maya noticed. Marco looked at Lucifer, then at Adrian. Another meeting? Adrian's eyes narrowed. Marco grinned. I'll dismiss myself. He disappeared. Maya laughed against Adrian's chest, and Adrian, the cold Mafia boss who once believed quiet meant control, looked down at the woman who had brought noise, chaos, laughter, coffee, jealousy, and one deeply untrustworthy vacuum cleaner into his life, and realized something. His mansion had been perfectly organized before Maya Collins arrived, perfectly controlled, perfectly predictable, and completely boring. Then she raced down a hall